We've seen what they've been trying to do, folks. I did a video yesterday and the day before covering the fact that something isn't exactly right with what we're seeing being put out by these outlets. Of course, I have some more stuff today to show you, and also some interesting, I guess you would say, conclusions I'm having as a result of why are they doing this, right? We, of course, have the fact that the main reason is so they can make the economy go down. Everybody essentially not working is a good way to make the economy go down, right? It was doing quite well. Now, all of a sudden, we have record high unemployment, 10 million people filing for it. That's quite a few, since only there's 160 million total in the US of A that work a job, right? So we see that's going on. Obviously, a lot of people or consumers are like not looking too positively on the future as a result of this. So the economy is obviously dragging as a result. Now, I saw this clip over on Jeff C. He has an interesting clip here from an actual outlet. They're acting as if this is a real thing going on here, folks. But what we can see here, obviously, is this is just a plastic guy. Okay, this is just some plastic prop, right? You can see here in the joints, it's clearly not real. And you can see even the hole here. So, yeah, so we're talking about them using those on actual, like they're saying, this is a real person, you know? And we have others like that. I saw more. I was looking around, and here's yet another one. This is just kind of funny. I saw a few out there like this. I'm like, okay, what? Apparently, they don't think very much. They think that you just will believe or accept anything you're seeing, folks. And, I mean, and obviously, as I showed you yesterday, we saw all those hospitals and facilities that were empty. For the most part, every single one of them is. As you saw with Brian, he put out a comment on his community tab asking all those who work at hospitals to let us know what's really going on. And he got over 2,500 responses. And they were, for the most part, saying nothing was going on. Now, of course, we also had Dana come out with a video, which went very well for her. I mean, it's got 1.3 million views already, which is just awesome. Considering the time we're in, it's amazing that any of our videos can get that big. You know what I mean? That's great. I'm really actually happy for her. I talk to her once in a while here on text to see how she asks me questions sometimes about things. But check this out. Look at the sign here. This was at one of the clips that she was showing how there's nobody essentially in the parking lots or in the hospitals. But you can see here, it says right here on the sign, it essentially is saying this here. All right. It's just kind of funny, considering, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it just seems like everything is being sort of strange of recent with what's going on. Of course, that doesn't mean this stuff isn't actually happening, because it is, but the question is, how is it happening? And at what level and how far is it going to go? At this point, you're like starting to question everything. Like, what's going on here, folks? I don't understand this, you know what I mean? And of course, some people are thinking, obviously, that maybe this has a little bit to do with it. And I'm starting to think that's the case as well, that there's something going on with this. We're seeing a lot of strange things going on with that as well. Fifth generation. We're talking about towers. A lot of people are actually taking them down in Europe right now. Coordinated efforts by people that think they're literally part of it. And they could be, because in the original country this all started in, they had just recently installed them everywhere. It's just kind of strange, with those cruise ships that we were talking about. They had them recently installed as well. You know what I mean? And of course, where is it happening the most? It's in these big cities where, of course, they have some of this already installed as well. I don't know, man. There is something to that potentially. And anyways, even if there was no direct, I guess you would say connection, the fact of the matter is, this stuff is not going to exactly help on the health level. All right, overall for anybody. And I mean, that's just something everybody knows. I mean, I even saw Scientific American saying that. I mean, everybody knows that. All right. Now, one of my subscribers, I have a lot of subscribers writing me, mentioned that there's actually codes, all right, in Scripture for this particular strain. And he was going over it here and pointing out, actually, there's a lot of stuff here. It's just amazing how much he's found. Usually you don't have it this elaborate. There's quite a few things here, all seemingly crossing one another, sort of as if it's something. One of the things he mentioned was it could be this. This is one of the words that crossed over it. He put the word for the strain in there, and then it had this one cross over it. I mean, it could very well be. I don't know. You know what I mean? So there's that. Now, I can understand these workers. You know, we have a certain restaurant here, and apparently a number of people, or no, not a number of people, one person at this restaurant, a local restaurant, just one restaurant, was saying that someone had got the strain, and they said that they don't want to be gone over fries, okay? You know, French fries. So they're walking out from working, and I just thought that was kind of... And we're seeing more of that. We're seeing that with Amazon as well. Apparently 25 people have it at their Staten Island location, which is one that they already walked out on, but now they're doing it a second time. So there's that as well. And we're seeing a lot of this kind of stuff that's just really strange. We're talking about the men in blue using these loud, I guess you would say, speakers to tell people it's time to go in. And the sound that it made was the sound from this movie. If you remember this movie, okay, which I don't know. I could see why people might not like that sound. If you ever saw this movie, they put off this sound before the whole thing started. You remember this movie here? All right. Might look a little familiar there. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. All right. So there's that. Now they're saying this, which of course completely goes in with one of the main reasons why they're doing this. Now, I was saying there's two main reasons they're doing this. I was saying it was the economy. They want to make it go down because that was one of the main selling points for the president. And now that it's obviously down, it's going to make it so he likely will have a lot. He'll have a lot of fun trying to get back in a second time, is what I'm saying. Now, another reason was because they're trying to do this. And actually, they're actually naming it directly that. Look at this. They want to make one of these, folks. And this is literally a concert they're putting on. They're calling it this. You see that? I mean, what in the world? All three of these outlets here, okay? All these right here are putting on this right here. And I'm not even going to say the name. You can see it there, ONE, and then you have WORLD. You see this? All that right there, folks. It's amazing. They're actually literally calling it the same name. You know, and it's not the only thing. There's a lot of stuff like that coming out. And actually, I didn't even show it on this channel. I showed it on my other channel. Let me see if I can get this up. This guy, he put out a paper saying the exact same thing, pretty much, that they're starting this whole thing right here. And then another guy just put out a paper as well. There's like two guys well noted to be in that realm, okay, that put out papers saying this recently. Actually, it's right here. Here it is. Here's the word right there. See it? Yeah, let me go to it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right here. There it is. It's going to make this change. That's what he said. So, I mean, all these guys are coming out saying that's what this is all about. They're telling you what it is, directly telling you. And it's just amazing. So, and of course, we have Boris here. He apparently is not doing too well as a result of this whole strain. Okay? I don't know what's going to happen there. I guess we'll see. But I mentioned that he had it. I guess we'll see what happens there. It's just really curious, all the signs surrounding this. Here's one of them right here I wanted to mention that just seems so strange. The stuff, it just seems really not as you would expect for a normal strain. All the things that seem to surround it. You have this as well, which is really, I mean, even I mean, people are baffled by this, you know? What is this? What's going on here? Why is this a part of it? You have this as well. It has to do with your heart. Okay? And there's other strange things like that. I think I had another one here too. Yeah, here's another one. Look at this one. This one's really weird. If I can open it. I think it's open. There we go. Look at this. This is another sign. Look at this. That you could have this right here with your eyes. What is that? I mean, it's just so strange. So many weird things surrounding it. You know what I mean? So there's that as well. All right. So now they're talking about the fact in Europe, they're saying that now they're already on step 2, where basically they're loosening up this whole shutdown in 2 countries. This is what they're saying. These 2 countries, Denmark and Austria, they're saying that. Okay. So I don't know. I guess we'll see if that's the case. That's what they're saying. I already mentioned about this Amazon here, NYC, talking about Staten Island, that they, again, because they had 25 people that had it. And I think it's, you know, they're saying that they need to go through the entire warehouse and just clean it. And that they said they want full pay while they're doing that, because they don't want to be the next person to get it, obviously. So that's what's going on with that. Then we have them talking about a 4th package. A 4th package. I was like, what? I thought we only had 1. Apparently, they've already got a number of them lined up that they're going to be putting through. They had the 2.2 trillion one, right? Then they were talking about a 2 trillion for infrastructure, right? Which, you know, at this point hasn't went through, to my knowledge. But now they're talking already about a 4th package. Could include capital gains tax cut, 50-year bond sales. I'm like, what is going on here, folks? We only did 1, and we haven't even seen anything from it. Okay, so yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, 2.2 trillion. All right, now they're talking already about a 4th one. I know the second one was for infrastructure, 2.0 trillion. And you got to keep in mind, we only have $23 million or $23 trillion of debt, and you're adding another 2, another who knows what, and another who knows what, right? Could be like 8 trillion being added, which is ridiculous. Okay. Now, of course, this is coming from our president. This is something that you wouldn't expect, considering they're clearly not going to be able to pay for this. Yeah. So, but that's what's going on, you know. I was like amazed to see that. 4th package, okay. Four of them. Okay, great. Well, as a result, of course, of these multitude of packages being passed or going to be passed, the Dow Jones has went up 1,600 points. I mean, it's already back at 2,300. Every time it starts going down, they pass something new or say they're going to pass something new, and it goes up. It's really strange and amazing like that. It's wow. You know? Yeah, it's great stuff. So, and I have another one here to show you real quick. And actually, this is something that you might like. But first, let me just show you this really quick. We have the Dow Jones. As you can see, it's been going up all day. And in the 5 days, it's went way up. It's almost back up to 23, okay? Now, we have the fact that these car insurance companies may be giving you a refund because you're not driving your car. Allstate here is going to be returning $600 million in auto premiums for those who've basically not been driving their car, which is a lot of people. So if, you know, eventually you might be getting a refund for some of that car insurance that you've paid for this year. So maybe it's prorated back. I don't know, but at least that'll be a little bit more money in your pocket for these times. At any rate, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.
Today I'm going to show you how to make a superfood that'll last a lifetime without refrigeration. And it's so nutritious, you'll never have to stockpile another food. The food's called pemmican, and it was widely in use by the natives of North America and also by the Western explorers who would go for months without contact with civilization. In the 19th century, even British soldiers had an iron ration of 4 ounces of pemmican. Many of these iron rations were found intact and edible as much as 50 years later. So let's just avert our gaze from modern survival thinking for a minute, and let's think about how the guys who explored the West 150 years ago did it. Now that's exactly the kind of stuff I found in this 350-page book called The Lost Ways. It's probably the only survival book I've actually enjoyed reading, and you won't believe the survival things we've lost to history. Now I found the pemmican recipe on page 48, and I decided to give it a go. Natives used whatever was available to them at the time. Bison, elk, moose, deer, but nowadays people just use what they can buy. You just need to remember to select a low-fat red meat, and beef is perfect for this. So you'll need 6 pounds of beef, 2 pounds of rendered beef tallow, and 1/3 cup of strawberries or blueberries. And that's it. Don't include nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, grains, beans, or dairy products of any kind. Now the first step is to dry the meat and blueberries. First you need to slice the meat very thin. You can use a very sharp knife like this one, or you can keep the beef in the freezer a few hours before slicing it. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can set the oven to the lowest possible temperature, around 130 degrees, and put the strips of meat directly on the rack. So now place a tin foil on the right side of the rack and spread the blueberries out to dry with the meat. Place the rack back inside and crack the oven door to prevent moisture buildup. Let this dry for about 15 hours or until it's crispy. 150 years ago, people dried their meat by building a wooden pyramid over a small fire and hanging the meat slices on that. After 15 hours, this is what you should get. Toss it in the food processor until it becomes a powder. Do the same with the blueberries. In the old days, they grind it with a rock to crush it into a powder. Generally, well-dried meat will weigh just slightly less than 1/3 of its raw weight. Therefore, 6 pounds of raw lean meat will yield about 2 pounds of thoroughly dehydrated meat. For our next step, we need to cut the fat into small pieces about a 1/2 inch square. So place the fat in a pot on the stove and heat it up to a temperature between 225 and 250 degrees. Now, you don't gain anything from getting it any hotter than that other than destroying the fatty acids, which we want to do as little as possible. Now for the first 10 minutes you want to keep this on medium-high heat, and you want to stir it about every minute, and this will allow enough of the fat to be liberated to coat the bottom of the pot without burning the bottom of the fat. After about 10 minutes, you'll see a pool of fat forming on the bottom of the pot, which should be merrily boiling away. You can rest a little bit now and stir it maybe only every 5 minutes, just to keep things well mixed. After about 30 minutes, the liquid fat should have risen enough to cover the chunks, and it should look like a rolling boil. So as this liquid rises, you can go ahead and lower the temperature down to about 230. After about an hour, the major boiling action will have stopped, and there'll just be small bubbles rising from the fat. About 90% of the cracklings will be a chestnut brown in color. So use a strainer to separate these and set them aside with salt to enjoy as snacks later. They're really, really good. And if you don't like them or don't want to eat them, you can set them aside to cool for dog treats. So good. Oh, yes. Sammy, you want one? Come here. We now have to weigh the amount of ground meat and the amount of rendered animal fat. We have to have the same quantities, so you'll probably have to remove some of the excess fat. Place the remaining fat on the stove. Keep it about 120 degrees. Mix the shredded meat into the melted fat and stir it until it's well blended. Then add the blueberries and mix it again. This is how it should look. The fat should be absorbed or coating the meat fibers. There should be very little or no liquid fat pooling in the bottom of the pot. Now, following the instructions from the Lost Ways, you can store it in Ziploc plastic bags and press flat, removing as much air as possible, and therefore preventing the fat from going rancid. This should keep the pemmican from spoiling for a few years without refrigeration. So let's do that. And here's what I got. Pemmican is the ultimate survival food, no matter if you want to bug out or bug in. 10 pounds of pemmican would supply food for 2 full weeks of camping activities at 3/4 of a pound per day, providing 2,200 calories. In survival mode, the same 10 pounds of pemmican would supply energy for almost a full month. This was just one awesome chapter in the Lost Ways, but you won't believe the survival skills we've lost to history. And that's what this book is all about, saving our forefathers' skills. But I actually realized it's also about saving ourselves from the shallow world that we live in. Click below to find out how you can get your hands on one of the greatest books of this century.